Welcome to this week's Town Hall. We got a special guest this week and a new member, Dave Rietsema. Dave's going to tell us a little bit about his company Matchr and some of the other brand offerings that he has available out there for companies to help them grow their HR tech business and their sales pipelines and so forth. After that, if there is time, we'll do the typical dive into some of the news. That weekly news that we curate goes out in the Town Crier, which Dave and his company is, I'm pleased to announce, the new sponsor of the Town Crier. And with that, let me introduce Dave.
Yeah, I just want to give an introduction about me and the company, and I think it's most useful if you know a little bit about my past. I was an HR professional for several years, helping a company that I worked for, 1,500 employees, find the right software system. We needed a new HRIS, a new payroll, a new ATS, and I started going down the process of shortlisting vendors. Of course, everyone knows about the fees of the world, but there were also other vendors I hadn't heard of that provided good technology. And because I felt like there had to be a better way of doing things, I set to create this company. At the time, it was called HR Payroll Systems, and I was doing my side gig nights and weekends. And then after 3 years of doing both things, I made the jump and went and did this thing full time as an entrepreneur. We've now been in business for 13 years. The company is now called Matchr. What we do is we help HR professionals connect with the right technology vendor, the HRIS, payroll, ATS, learning management, and performance management softwares. We help them to create a short list of services free for the HR professionals, and the vendors pay us on a CPL basis, some cost per lead. We also have CPC programs. About a year and a half ago, we launched HRInsidr, which is another way for our technology brands as well as non-technology vendors to reach HR professionals. We're reaching 150,000 HR professionals now on a weekly basis. It was bi-weekly. Now we're doing every other week regular newsletter and a compliance newsletter. Our team has grown significantly in the past couple of years, and I think it's time to connect directly with other professionals and execs in the HR tech space. Nice to meet you all.
Wow, that's awesome. And to start out as an HR practitioner, we don't hear that a lot on this side of the table, so to speak, but it's great to have that firsthand experience and bring forward some solutions for the ecosystem. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I really liked the profession, but I reached a point where I liked entrepreneurship more and having the flexibility of entrepreneurship. It kept me connected to the profession, but I feel like my fit is better in marketing than HR.
And you still have your PHR.
I do. That was not easy to get. I'm not letting go of that. I had the short one and PHR.
But anyway, questions from any of the attendees for Dave?
Thank you very much, Dave, for that introduction. It's interesting because there are more and more companies doing so, because it's getting more and more complex for companies to find the right solution. Because if you go to a conference or a fair or whatever, from vendor to vendor, you have more questions after it than before. And it's not easy for a company to do right decisions in the software decision process. I have a question to you. The people signing a contract, how do you support them? And what are the options?
So the customer side, we have lots of different campaigns that we're running all online to drive to our software match form. People fill out our software match questionnaire. We call them, we're asking them about their current software situation, how many employees do they have, all the contact information questions, who they've looked at, who they're not open to looking at. We take all of that information and we send it to our customers who we feel like should be on the short list for that company. On the vendor side of the business, vendors can track with us. They tell us what their ICP is, what kind of filter they want. Maybe they want to focus on just US companies with 50 to 500 employees who are looking for an HRIS or a payroll system. And then everybody who fits into that filter, if they're on that short list, then they'll get those leads.
Okay, so the most money you get from the vendors and not from the companies.
We don't get any money from the company.
You might have said this, if you're not paying you, are you still on the list?
No. So we have a master listing with all different vendors. We have vendors who pay us as well as vendors who just have free listings. But in order to get on to a short list, when somebody engages with us, you have to be a paying provider. We don't take a portion of revenue sharing, it's just on a cost per lead basis. However, it's based on the size of the company, and they just pay that rate. We bill them at the end of the month, and if they choose them, then that's obviously what we're looking for. This is a completely ROI-based program. You have to be seeing success in closing deals, and we are successful. We worked with Bamboo HR for 13 years, worked with Paycor for like 12 years, so long-term relationships.
I'm interested. What is your average cost per click and stuff like that?
So the areas that we're in is HRIS and payroll, applicant tracking, performance, and learning management. Our CPLs are the same across the board for those different software types. And so like a company with 1 to 50 employees would be 240, and it scales all the way up into 1,000 plus when you're talking about enterprise.
I used to lead Accenture's HR tech practice for software selection years ago. How are you guys matching? You said you have intake forms and you call up, talk to people. Is it like a features and function match or is it a outcomes match?
It's features, it's the kind of functionality they're looking for. The size of their company is a huge factor in filtering. So some companies, they only want to talk to enterprise 1,000 plus. Some other companies focus on SMBs, so they're focused on 1 to 100. Company size, feature set, and geography with their biggest filters.
If you say Smart Recruiters has 540 reviews, are those all from something that you did?
No, we aggregate them from other review sites. So we're a smaller fish in a big pond of lead gen companies, and that issue was that the software providers are getting hit up all the time to send their users to go review. And so they were focusing on G2 and Software Advice and Capterra and all of these companies. It was impossible to get people to drive their users to our page. So we just said, you know what? There's plenty of review sites with all these reviews. Let's disaggregate the score.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
And that is mainly focused on the US market, or is that in other markets as well?
95% US, 5% Canada. We don't do anything in Europe. We were in Europe previous to GDPR, but the fines didn't make sense for us to continue there.
And you have something that can push out messaging for a vendor to your list.
Yeah, that's the HRInsidr newsletter.
I appreciate your use of dropping the last E in a company. Catalyzer did the same thing.
We're doing that with all of our companies. Matchr, HRInsidr. This is the new section we're doing called Dear Ellie. Different articles around HR, talent management, where you can see the ads here from your customer. We're doing that Dear Ellie, say Dear Abby, but Dear Ellie, we're submitting their questions, we're answering them, and then featuring the webinars that we're running through HRCI. This one is sent every 2 weeks, and in the off weeks, we send compliance update, which has been pretty popular.
Dave, anything else to share for our time capsule that we're going to create from this moment today?
Well, I noticed that Tony joined our call. So much the introduction.
Ward, it's good seeing you again. Hey guys, my name is Tony Wong. As Dave mentioned, I'm the new head of revenue for Matchr. I just heard a lot of good questions coming in from Trevor, Christoph, and everybody else. So if you guys want to know a little more detailed information about our company, I'm more than happy to meet you guys offline and have a different session to fill you in. So I'm going to drop my email address here and feel free to reach out to me. Happy to be part of this group and thanks for having us.
Yeah, great, Tony. And where's home for you?
Home is Dallas, Texas. For now. Yeah. Dave knows I was supposed to move to the East Coast, but that plan fell through. So the plan is kind of somewhat up in the air, but for a little while, Dallas is going to be home.
Tony, thanks for coming online here, and great to meet you and Dave. And again, we appreciate you being a member and certainly supporting the town cry. We can keep that curated news flowing out to the community and keeping people informed how you know when people are here.
Special thanks to our corporate member, Dave Rietsema from Matchr, for sponsoring the Town Crier. A huge shout out to our 2,000 plus members, especially our founding and corporate members, for their continuing support of the HR Tech Alliance's community platform. It's our subscribing members who provide the primary funding that powers our community platform and empowers our mission.